Buy more stock in tube amps. Millionaires will always woo. Don't be shocked if tube amps make a millionaire of you. Welcome back. I didn't intend to do a YouTube video on this 59 Sano. I was taking photos for Instagram and I thought, you know what? Let's do a demonstration. This is a cool, unusual amp. It's a cool, unusual company. And we have a parts unit here with some pretty interesting paperwork that I want to show you. This amp belongs to a friend of mine, Gary. He's in a band, Ladybug Transistor, and has a great studio called Marlboro Farms. And I think at some point we should go over there and do a little video. But today we're going to look at and hear his Excelsior. So this was made by Sano, but it was branded Excelsior because these were for accordions. Sano made accordions and accordion amps, and Excelsior was an accordion brand. So this is a Excelsior branded Sano from 59. Sanos were built in New Jersey, mostly Irvington, New Jersey, and they were not related to Ampeg. There is a myth that the companies were sort of related, but they were not. And Sano made a lot of different amplifiers, and they're all different. And I've serviced a fair number of them, and I really love servicing them because the old ones especially, they're pretty big and roomy, and it's like a piece of furniture. And the older 50s ones are quite beautiful. It's like working on a 59 Cadillac or something. But usually the story goes when people bring them in, someone was clearing out a house, they go into a closet or a garage and they find an old Sano and an accordion and they bring it in and we're off. This one was pulled out of a barn and this one is pretty trashed. The customer declined the job and I gave him some money for parts. So I got this cool paperwork. I got a parts amp. This speaker here was in Gary's amp. Look how beautiful this speaker is. Freaking beautiful gold speaker. This speaker is blown. We certainly can send it out for a recone, and I might do that. But for now, to get Gary going, I took the speaker out of this and I put it in here. And the speaker is about the only thing that is good in this parts amp. This amp was pretty much original, except for some goofy mods that I took out. Original AC cable. I changed the value of a pot because we had no sweep in the intensity of the trem. This amp has a pair of EL34s, cathode biased. I did change the value of the resistor to run a little bit cooler. We had some bad coupling caps. I also changed the electrolytics. The cans are still in there, but they're disconnected, and I have discrete capacitors in place. The tremolo in these, the 50s ones, it's always a headache. And like I said, they're all different. This one has a stereo 1/4-inch jack for stereo accordion. So I guess there's two pickups for the bass and the upper register, and you plug into the stereo input, and the tremolo is on the treble side. I'll show you. So I took out this stereo jack to put in a standard 1/4-inch jack for guitar. I have a soft spot for amps that have the power amp on the bottom of the cabinet and the preamp on top. It's so old school. Look at how much room is in. What? In order to activate the tremolo on this particular amp, you need a foot switch or this shorted dummy plug, which I made for Gary so he could activate the tremolo. We are in the accordion input that I modified. Now we have a bass channel and a treble. This is not an EQ. We actually have a separate channel for just bass frequencies and a separate channel for high frequencies with tremolo. And we're going to turn up our master volume. And we are getting some cell tower interference. It's 4 o'clock, and every 4 o'clock here in Brooklyn, I get this. Oh joy. Bass, no trem. Treble, there's your trem. So here's the 15-inch speaker that we put in. This 8-inch Utah is blown, and I actually think these tend to sound better with just a single 15 than the little drivers that they put in on the side here. Power transformer, GZ34 rectifier, new EL34s. That's the output transformer. Got some preamp tubes in here. This cable is the power distributor for the preamp and goes up to the on-off switch. I changed this RCA cable. This is our audio signal from the preamp down to the power amp. And here is our preamp. And we got a couple beautiful Bugle Boy 12AX7s in here. So it's 1989 and we're still working. This is an invoice that was in the back of the scrap amp. A Walter Werner dropped off his amp and his accordion to a Roselle location for Sano. All records seem to indicate that they were not in business, but it sounds like they were maybe not manufacturing anymore, but they were still doing repair work out of this location. Here we have the amp, two something capacitors, speaker hookup, and parts replaced. Sanovox is electric accordion that they made, so 48 resistors replaced, contacts replaced, cleaned, instrument tuned. Looks like we paid with a check and the tax, and we got out of there for $86.62. A Sano warranty registration card. Bring these back now. How cool is this? You fill this out, send it in. You got 90 days warranty. Postage will be paid by addressee. So cool. And what's this? But a Sano price list from 1968. So this price list is about a decade older than Gary's amp, but they were still making Gary's amp at this time. Cosmetically, it was slightly different, but it would be the 50W because it doesn't have reverb and it has tremolo. They have 50 watts. We have a 15 and 8-inch speaker, 3 inputs, 50 pounds, shipping weight of 60 pounds. We have our dimensions. And we don't have reverb, otherwise it'd have an R here. We have tremolo, 9 tubes, and check this out. This is our list price for 68 at least, $450. And adjusting for inflation today, that would be $4,192. So I find this kind of interesting. We have a 100-watt solid-state amp here with 2 12s. And it has tremolo and reverb, but look at the price, $795. I love how they crossed out a number and wrote in pen, $795 in 1968, which today would be $7,406. Looking at those inflation numbers, it's really interesting. I mean, over $7,000 for a solid-state Sano. Do tubes sound better than transistors? Well, I can't say that. You know, it's about making art, and tone is subjective. I would never make those claims. But you know what? If you're betting on the ponies, I'm going to go with a tube amp any day. These 50, 60 Sanos, they're still out there. They're still serviceable, and they still work and sound great. I think this 100-watt solid-state true wattage amp of 100 watts for $7,406. Nah. Tube amps all day long.